So we all know that Prince Harry was a no-show today at the High Court and the judge was not impressed. But there was so much more that actually happened from today's proceedings. So I'm going to give you a trial recap and give you everything you need to know with what happened in court today. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more details in this Daily Nerd starting right now. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to another dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the news and pop culture stories of the day that's pretty much caught me eye, and oh my goodness, before I jump into all the juicy details with this video's main topic, there is a little bit of housekeeping as always. Firstly, YouTube human reviewer, I see you lurking. I'm not going to say any trigger words or anything that's going to offend your ear holes. And to everyone else awesome enough to have clicked on this video, hey up, how y'all doing? If you've got some very strong feelings about this one, and I bet you do, then make sure you send me a super thanks. It's just below this video right here. Let's have a conversation about the court case because it does guarantee a response from me. And oh yeah, let's jump into this one, shall we? So, yeah, let's start off with the headliner. He was an absolute no-show. Yeah, so David Sherborne, who is representing Harry, he's the lawyer, and other claimants argued that Hazard couldn't appear today, even if his opening was of minimal length. In other words, even if there was time this afternoon for Hazard to appear, he can't appear. He argued that Hazard is of a different status to the other claimants because of his travel and security arrangements. What security arrangements? He lost that trial the other week where government was like, no, we're not taking your money, you're not hiring the police for your own security. So what security arrangements? But okay. While Harry travelled to the UK from California last night, his lawyer said he wasn't expected to appear today. After some discussion with the judge, not happy about it, I'll tell you that right now. Mr. Justice Fancourt, he's the judge, accepted the explanation in the end, but clarified that MGN, so Mirror Group newspaper, who Hazard is fighting against, will have as much time for their cross-examinations as they need. So, in other words, Hazard got absolutely penalised and punished, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, for not showing up today by the judge. Because, you know, the cross-examination was going to be, I believe, like a day and a half tops or something along those lines. Judge does now turn around and says, you know what? MGN, Mirror Group newspapers, when he does eventually turn up, take your time, guys. Take your time. You got all the time in the world. It's all Gucci in my court. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, in terms of MGN's response to all of that, they branded it as extraordinary. Now, the lawyer for MGN is Andrew Green KC, and said it was extraordinary that Harry was not in court for the opening of his own case. He told the judge that court time would be wasted. The lawyer also said he'll be cross-examining Hazard on behalf of MGN, but said he has quite a lot to get through with Hazard and will need around 1.5 days. He told the court, quote, I have to cross-examine him on 33 articles and that cannot be done in one day. If I am to put to him even a small number of the public domain documents and in many cases explain the sources of the information, the documents are relevant to the question of damages, he told the court. And as we know, judge replied saying, yeah, you've got all the time in the world, guys, don't worry. Hazard is screwed. I'm telling you that right now. Now, there was also, a little bit later on, a clash over timekeeping between the lawyers. So the lawyer for MGN pointed out that Hazard's lawyer had exceeded the promised 3 hours for his opening statement. So Hazard's lawyer turned around and says, oh, my opening statement will only last 3 hours. Nah, he went over that. And MGN was like, Judge, He doesn't know how long 3 hours is, prompting another testy exchange with the judge about timekeeping. So Hazard's lawyer said, "We want to take the whole day with openings." The judge replied, "You said you'd take 3 hours, so you're just getting 3 hours." And then Mirror journalist Anthony Howard was slotted into the schedule in Harry's absence, and the judge said now that he'd been alerted, he should take the stand, saying, quote, this is from the judge, "We really can't keep having timetable chaos." Like, literally, Hazard is causing chaos in the High Court, and the judge is not happy at all. Woo! Rubbing him up the wrong way. That's not a good thing, guys. It's not a good thing. If you want to win, you want to keep the judge on side. I'm just saying, right? And so there's even more that came out from today's trial. So here we go. The court hears that MGN caused seeds of discord between Harry and William. So Hazard's lawyer said that the discord between William and Hazard was made worse by unlawful information gathering conducted or commissioned by MGN journalists. He took the court through an article that appeared in the People newspaper that is owned by MGN. Which quoted a senior royal source detailing an argument between William and Harry over how to handle Paul Burrell, who is Princess Diana's ex-butler, who regularly speaks to the press anyway, to be fair. The article was written by a journalist called Rachel Bletchley, who Prince Harry's lawyer said isn't coming along to vouch for who that source is. And she shouldn't have to. As far as I know, journalists are able to protect their sources, and under very, 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 I would say, extreme rare situations, are only forced to disclose their sources. Until then, tough. Now, the barrister argued that the article contained telltale references of unlawful information gathering, otherwise known as UIG, and that there was a redacted contribution payment associated with the article. He says the seeds of discord between these two brothers are starting to be sown by articles like this. So it ain't because of Hazard doing all these interviews, the book, wah, the Megsy and Hazard mockumentary. Oh, no. He's blaming it all on the press, basically, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, as to why, his relationship with his big bro ain't the best at the moment. Yeah, I know, right? The lawyer says mistrust can set in from an early age because of this type of unlawful activity, and said that no aspect of Harry's private life was safe from this. Okay. Now, in response, MGN, Mirror Group newspaper's lawyer, said at the start of their opening that payment records used in the Duke's claim simply do not demonstrate unlawful conduct or knowledge thereof. The barrister also said that there was a lack of call data in Hazard's case, telling the court, quote, "There's no call data whatsoever for the Duke of Sussex and scant call data for his associates." And then MGN's lawyer later says that the Duke faced a very difficult starting point for the claimant proving he was habitually hacked, because at the end of the day, all I'm seeing and all I'm hearing at the moment is circumstantial evidence from Hazard's side. Show me the receipts. Like, yeah, right? And that's exactly what MGN's lawyer's saying. There's no evidence at our side that we hacked you. So if you're saying we hacked you, burden of proof is on you, mate. Show us the receipts. Do you know what I mean? My goodness. Now, his lawyer, Prince Hazard's lawyer, check this. This made me laugh when I saw this one. Prince Harry hasn't brought a claim as part of a vendetta against the press. I think it's clear as day that Prince Hazard has some form of vendetta against the press. don't, come on, someone living under a rock here. So his lawyer argues that the legal action brought by Hazard is not some general vendetta against the press. Instead, his lawyer argued it has enabled Hazard to focus the high level of attention that comes with his royal position on the allegations of unlawful activity by MGN's employees. So he's doing it out of service, you know, to shine a light on the injustices that are being committed within the world of the media. Yeah, okay. How much is he suing for again? His lawyer also argued that senior board members of the PLC knew about these unlawful activities. And said, you know, how his position as a senior royal made him the biggest target, saying it was implausible given the judgment made in a similar case that there wasn't, quote, widespread unlawful activity at the publishing company and that there was only one article that was sourced using unlawful methods. Now, MGN does a rebuttal to this, and so their lawyer turns round and says that there's no evidence that Hazard's phone was hacked even once by their journalists. They say, quote, the defendant's position is that there is simply no evidence that the Duke of Sussex was ever hacked, certainly that he was ever hacked on a habitual basis. There's no evidence, and certainly no sufficient evidence, that a mobile phone used or owned by the Duke of Sussex was hacked on one occasion between 1996 and 2011. He also said that none of those who had admitted hacking had ever suggested that they had targeted Hazard, saying, quote, not one person who has come forward to admit phone hacking or witnessed it says that the Duke was ever hacked by any of the defendants' titles. And then it goes on to say from Hazard's lawyer that nothing was sacrosanct when it came to finding stories about him. So he argued that nothing was sacrosanct or out of bounds when it came to generating stories on Prince Harry. The 33 articles that are being examined in this trial as being the possible result of unlawful information gathering, there are 147 in the claim overall during the period in question of 96 and 2011. The lawyer points out, quote, Prince Harry was just 11 years old and still at school. But it was also the year that the divorce of Harry's parents, Diana and Charles, was finalised, which generated further interest in the private lives of the royal family. The article that was discussed back in 96 in that case was Diana So Sad on Harry's Big Day, which covered the 20 minutes that Princess Diana and Hazard spent together on his 12th birthday. He noted that, according to Harry's witness statement, it is utterly implausible that the details from this event came from a passer-by. So in other words, he's turning around and saying the only way, right, that the Mirror Group newspaper knew anything about my mum coming from my 12th birthday party is unlawful information gathering, hacked me phone, whatever, right? It couldn't have been any other way they could have known about it. A leak? Like, presumably other people were there. They could have leaked the story, but no. Now, of course, MGN lawyer fought back on this one, saying that the journalists, it was all total speculation without any evidential basis whatsoever. They also... Prince Hazard also claims that they did some unlawful information gathering when it came to correspondence between Princess Diana and a well-known UK famous TV presenter and entertainer called Michael Barrymore, who, Google him. There's a lot of controversy behind him anyway. But their lawyer turns around and says the letters to Michael Barrymore are not evidence of voicemail interception and there's no other evidence. Plainly, no such finding can be made. And then, you know, they turn round and they say, and this is, you know, again, Mirror Group newspapers, lawyers saying, look, many of the stories involved information already in the public domain. Some that was put out by the royal household, some by Hazard himself and some obtained from confidential sources, saying, quote, it's quite extraordinary that the judge had been asked to infer the stories had been obtained unlawfully, highlighting one article that had been broken by the now defunct, closed down News of the World. This story was published back in January 2002, alleging that Hazard had taken illicit substances. The only new information the Mirror had added was that Hazard had not been back to the pub in question, the lawyer told the judge, saying, quote, Mr. Sherborne said that you could infer that the additional information was obtained by unlawful information gathering. There was plainly no voice interception. There's no payment record, so why should there be any inference of unlawful information gathering? What unlawful information gathering? By who? Like, again, you're making this claim that there was unlawful information gathering for this particular story, but where are your receipts? Because we don't have any evidence that there was any unlawful information gathering for this particular story. That's what they're saying. He said the additional information was almost certainly obtained by journalists, saying, quote, it's exactly the sort of information that journalists get a hold of. So it's normal. It's like, he didn't go back to a pub, okay. They would have found that out by just going to a pub and asking landlord, did Prince Hazard come back? They could have just done that. There's plausible ways in which the journalists could have got that information in a legal way. They then say you were invited to infer that it's unlawful information gathering. That absolutely doesn't work. It's become rather fantastical. And it seems like it has from Prince Hazard's side. Now, we reported on this a couple of weeks back because it came up about Hazard and his ex-girlfriend, Chelsea Davy. He said at the time, and, you know, go back to the previous video that I did on this, that essentially the media broke him up. Because of all the media intrusion, that ended his relationship with Chelsea Davy. In other words, Meghan Markle, you might want to close your ears on this one, because if it weren't for that pesky media, Hazard might have married Chelsea Davy instead. Yeah, watch that video. It's quite interesting. But from today, in terms of referencing his ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy, Prince Hazard's lawyer said that when Harry and she were together, quote, it was as if they never felt that they were on their own. He said the torrent of stories about their relationship led ultimately to Chelsea deciding that royal life was not for her, which was incredibly upsetting for Harry at the time. And I remember there was a statement that came out that pretty much said that the royal life just wasn't for her. It also caused their circle of friends to become smaller, both losing friends unnecessarily, as well as bouts of depression for Harry. But again, you know, it's the question that I'm asking time and time. Where are the receipts? Show me the receipts, right? Because, yeah, there was press intrusion. I'll grant you that when it came to Prince Harry and Chelsea Davy's relationship. You'd be a fool to not think that wasn't the case, right? It was. But to then go one step forward and say a lot of it or some of it was down to unlawful information gathering, that's quite a leap, and you got to back yourself up with receipts on that one. Otherwise, Hazard, I think you might be losing this case. Now, this is the thing. In response to all of that, MGN's lawyer, Mirror Group newspaper lawyer, told the court that the Duke of Sussex was not told by police that he was the victim of phone hacking from MGN, despite many other high-profile people being contacted during their investigations. So their lawyer turns around and says, quote, the Metropolitan Police have never suggested to the Duke of Sussex that he has been the victim of phone hacking by anyone at MGN. So for Hazard to turn around and say that MGN did unlawful phone gathering, that unlawful information gathering, rather, that contributed to the breakup of him and Chelsea Davy, well, here's MGN turning around and saying, well, police said that you were not a victim of phone hacking, so try again, maybe? The lawyer continues saying, quote, the Duke of Sussex was actually at the centre of the Metropolitan Police Service's investigation into phone hacking, and quite rightly too. I mean, he's a prince, right? And of course they're going to be treating him at the centre. But saying despite that, no one at MGN was interviewed, let alone arrested and charged. There you go. So let's do a quick recap of everything, and the BBC here really do a nice recap of everything. So what did Harry's lawyer say in the end? So every facet of Harry's life was splashed across the papers. He said the prince was subjected to unlawful information gathering activity from when he was a young boy at school. He suggested that Harry and his ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy suspected their own friends of leaking stories, that illegal methods of sourcing information acted like a web around the prince, and he criticised MGN for not calling certain witnesses, including journalists, to give evidence. But journalists have a right to be able to protect their sources. So Prince Harry's lawyer is going, wah, MGN aren't allowing me to put on the stand their journalists so that I can question them. Wah. Well, tough. If you don't have the receipts to back your said up, then tough, right? And then the lawyer for Mirror Group newspaper overall said there's no evidence to support a finding that any mobile phone owned or used by Prince Harry was hacked. Zilch, zero, nil, de nada, niente, nothing. That there was a police investigation into the Mirror newspapers, but the police never suggested that Prince Harry was a victim of phone hacking, and that not one journalist who has come forward to admit phone hacking has ever said they hacked Hazard's phone. So there we go, guys. Yes, Prince Harry was a no-show. The judge was not happy about that. But there was so much more that was said and that came out of this trial today. And that is your trial recap of everything you need to know. Everything you need to know when I can get my teeth back in from today's High Court session involving Prince Harry versus the Mirror Group newspapers. It is expected that he will be going on the stand tomorrow to be questioned, so you better make sure you stay tuned, because I'll certainly be reporting on that and giving you everything you need to know, all the best, most important bits from his testimony. With that being said, enough with my gob. It's now time for your gobs. If you appreciated this video and you want more, believe me, like I just said, there's going to be more. Do make sure you click on that subscribe button. Help us get to 100k so we can get that silver play button right there. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatever's on this one. Also as well, if you've got some strong opinions about this story, and I bet you do, then make sure you send me a super thanks. It's just below this video right here. Let's have a conversation about this one, because it does guarantee a response from me. And until the next time, you guys, laters.